Would you buy raw Dante adapter modules if they made them available to the public? Leave your answer below and ask your friends too as well, so we can show Audinate if there's any demand for this type of stuff. Thanks channel members and supporters. Join the crew if you want to help make more videos like this one. So the Dante avio adapters feature a single board inside that has everything they need to operate. They sell this module in all of its various flavors directly to manufacturers, and in their words, they are the perfect foundation for your own line of Dante adapters, and that makes total sense. But what doesn't make sense is that they only sell them to manufacturers. In the past 10 years, single board computers like Arduino and Raspberry Pi have brought up a whole new generation of learners who are not afraid to get their hands dirty with hardware, writing code, and especially integrating unrelated systems to get the results they want. It's been incredible to see what people come up with, but even more so to try to understand the problems that especially young folks who aren't exposed to how we traditionally do things are trying to solve. Now, unfortunately, Audinate either doesn't see a demand for these types of boards from the public, or they just don't want them out there for some other reason. I hope that's not the case though, and I really do just hope they're too busy or they just don't know that people want these, because I think a lot of folks would have some really cool ideas of what to do with them. To be clear, we're not talking about the Brooklyn or the Broadway boards here that are intended to be integrated in a much different fashion into products. The Ultimo chip that is on these modules particularly, and the way this PCB is laid out with solder pads, makes it a really, really nice option for end users to do it yourself. Jump into the comments and let us know so we can tell Audinate if you'd like to buy something like this and what kind of projects you would be using it for. Now, if you've watched recent videos on this channel, you may have seen the SoundTools CatBOX that gets used pretty often. There have been a few videos now where questions have also come in as a result of that Dante label that's on one end of it, and it's just a simple example of what I'm talking about here. Back when the avio adapters were first featured on the channel, Audinate was nice enough to send over a prototype that we could cut open to show everybody what was inside, and inside is one of these modules. So since then, with all the CatBOX products, if you're not familiar with those, the idea is that there's 4 channels and you can plug in another CatBOX or a set of cattails, and those 4 channels will get paralleled or repeated from one box to the next. So if I plug in an input on channel 2 on the first box, I can plug in an input or output module next, and that same signal will show up on channel 2, and if I plug in another box after that, same thing again. So these make a really good problem-solving tool, especially for this type of stuff where I'm demonstrating different types of audio gear. Now, one of the biggest things I do with that, though, is playing back test tones, music, and things I'm doing for demonstrations from a computer. And being able to drop those off the Dante network could be a really handy thing for some folks. It certainly works for me, and that's why I put this avio module into this CatBOX. This is a really easy thing to put into a CatBOX just because, like we said, the modules have everything you need. There's solder pads to connect the RJ45 to. From there, you're really just wiring from the Dante module. There's 2 channels on this one. They make it in a single channel version. They make it in an AES version for digital, but this is the 2-channel analog output, and it's really just a matter of wiring those 3 wires for each channel over to the CatBOX board and piggybacking on those pins that are already soldered to there. Now, because this isn't a permanent box that I take around all over the place, it really does just stay here on the workbench. This is just being held together with friction, and it does a great job. Nothing rattles around inside. There's a little Captain tape around both of the connections just to keep anything from shorting to the case inside. One thing I would like to add in the future is the indicator lights to tell when the PoE is plugged into this, because those aren't wired up right now. And of course, the avio adapters are PoE only, so there's no other way to power these. You definitely need a PoE injector or a switch, which is what I'm using here. And obviously putting an LED on the outside of the box would probably be pretty helpful down the line, just to know that you've got some sort of communication. So that's all there is to this Dante-enabled CatBOX, and this is not an official product by SoundTools whatsoever, but they are a manufacturer and they could potentially buy these modules from Audinate. And again, that's a little bit of the frustrating part. I don't know how many people would want specifically whatever flavor of CatBOX Dante enabled to make it worth their while. But if Audinate sold these modules, you could decide as an end user what products you'd like to put them inside. And frankly, I could see wiring these into a bunch of stuff. Now that might not be the case. Maybe nobody wants to do this, and that's what I'd like to find out from you. So if you have any interest at all in seeing these types of modules maybe someday being sold to the public, it would be great to be able to let the manufacturers know that now and find out from them, hopefully, what the issues would be with that and what they're concerned about and maybe why they haven't done it yet.